Ladies and gentlemen, introducing the worst fucking podcast you've ever heard. Both mics.
All right. Welcome to both mics. Welcome. We are on episode 69 here. I can't believe it's been 69 episodes, 67 of which were with Mike Taylor. I'm Mike Sofka. I am one of the both mics. I'm one of the two. Mike Taylor's the other one. But we got another Mike here today. Trey Sofka. First legal name's Michael, right?
The government name is Michael.
All right,
yeah.
The government name. Your government name. Yeah. All right. Well, good. Welcome. Thank you for sitting in for Mike Taylor. He's cruising around the world somewhere.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. This has been fun.
Yeah, no, it is. It's a lot of fun. I'm going to get right into it. You may be listening to this one post-Halloween, but if you are, that's okay. Just make sure your kid didn't dress up as anybody from Squid Games. Trey, you know what Squid Games is? Have you seen that?
Yeah, I know what it is. I've heard about it. I haven't watched it yet. It's one of those things where it's so popular that I don't want to watch it, but at the same time, I kind of want to know what all the fuss is about, so I'm kind of in limbo right now. Like, I'm torn on what to do.
I was fortunate enough to be on the front end of that curve. Like, I was on it, not to say I was the first, but I read about it and I saw about it, and I watched the whole thing, like, in a couple of days, just a couple episodes here, a couple episodes there. I think it's only like 8 or 9 episodes. And, anyway, there's a New York school system that's saying their elementary kids are not welcome to come in costume as anything from the show Squid Games. And it looks like a gym suit if you're in a green outfit, and then the other outfit, the pink outfits, it's like a gym suit with a hoodie, or like a decontamination suit with a hoodie, and they had like a black, like, speaker material type face mask. And the head character of those people reminded me kind of like of the Power Rangers guy that you would see on the screen there, with the big chiseled, weird face. So I found that interesting that they were picking out that you can't dress as this, you can't do that. And I don't understand that.
Well, you can speak to the show a little bit better than I can, but isn't there, like, decapitations and stuff? And, like,
yeah.
There? So I think that's perfectly fine to tell a 9-year-old, hey, don't dress up as the guy that decapitates another guy.
Dress up like Dracula, like somebody breaks into people's houses and sucks the blood out of them. Yeah, dress up like that. Of course,
that's much better. Much better. I think part of the reason why this costume is so popular is because it's so simple. It's not even because they love the show that much. It's literally green tracksuit top, green tracksuit bottom, or pink hoodie.
Well,
that's it.
Basically, the premise of the show is all those people in the green outfits are there, and the last one standing is going to get a pile of money. And every time somebody's eliminated from the game, their share of the money gets put into the pot, and they play elementary school type games, red light, green light, stuff like this. And so it's interesting how the whole thing happens. I don't want to ruin too much of it, but according to theguardian.com, early research has shown that costumes from Squid Game are already becoming one of the most posted costumes on Instagram this year. Vans, a shoe company that makes white slip-ons similar to one seen in the show, has reported a small bump in revenue as more people are buying white sneakers.
Yeah.
Other schools have reported children playing out versions of the show at school. We've been seeing kids trying to actually hurt each other. They say that the show is appropriate for children age 16 and under, but warns parents the level of violence is very intense in the show. It wasn't like over-the-top intense, because I think, like I said in the last show, 68, you're kind of desensitized to some of those things at this point, but it was a very interesting show. So I gave it 2 thumbs up.
Okay.
It was done in South Korea, and the original version's in Korean, but they did an excellent job with the dubbing of the voices. It wasn't over the top like old kung fu movie. Like, the voice was, the mouth was going, stop.
See, I kind of like that. I kind of wish it was like that, because that campiness, I think, goes well with from what I've heard the show is.
I didn't read too much about it. I saw a trailer for it, and I was like, wow, I want to watch this, but it looks like it's in subtitles. And then I flipped on Netflix and found that, no, there's a dub version. I said, well, let me sit through one episode, and if I can make it through one, I can make it through the 8 of them or whatever it was. And sure enough, it got interesting to me, and I didn't read, about any ulterior storylines or anything like that, but to me, it was a real statement on society where we are today. I'm not trying to make the movie too much of what it's not, but I really think it's more a statement on capitalism and more a statement on how we are as a society and stuff like that. It was just really interesting that they would have this. It's an interesting thing. If you get a chance to watch it, watch it. I liked it.
Yeah, I'll probably watch it when it's no longer hot and cool.
Yes, exactly.
It's no longer going to be the hottest costume of 2021. I'll probably watch it in like January or February and be like, oh, that's what all the fuss was about. Okay.
Well, all the fuss on Monday, November 1st, is going to be about the McRib. The McRib is back, and I can't believe I'm talking about the McRib on my show. But are you a McRib person or not?
No, I've never had a McRib.
Really?
Yeah, never had it. Never fully interested me because, like obviously I know there's no bones in it, but when I think of ribs, I think of baby back ribs, and just the look of it, it's looked like I'm gonna bite into it. I'm just gonna bite into a rib bone. Like I don't know. I've never really been a fan.
Yeah, well, the whole thing, I agree. It's molded. Like how do you get things molded like that? Well, it's like that pink slimy stuff probably, and I don't know. I've had it. It's pretty good, but I've had boneless rib sandwiches at other places where they do the rack ribs and they take out the bones, and it's a little jaggy, or the meat's a little almost pulled pork or pulled beef or whatever. But yeah, I don't know if I can get past once you see the pink slime and stuff like that, how they make food and stuff. That's just like that. I can't get totally on this vegetarian thing because all this Impossible Meat and Beyond Meat and stuff like this. Yeah. I mean, I get it, but don't tell me it's plant-based. You know what I want to know? You know what I want to see? I want to see the plant. Show me what the plant looks like. Don't just tell me it's plant-based. I want to see the plant. If I go to your place and you have plant-based meat or Impossible Meat or whatever, I want to see the plant in your dining room. I want to see the plant I'm eating. I mean, right? When you go to a steakhouse, sometimes they have cows on the wall and stuff like that, right? Is that asking too much, you think?
No, and it's like going to Red Lobster. You see the lobster.
Yes.
The lobster in the tank. You
can go pick out the live lobster. They will kill it, drop it in boiling. What a barbaric thought. I mean, if I just told somebody about this years ago, before it was possible, okay, here's the deal. You're going to go in a restaurant, you're going to pick out a live lobster, you're going to throw it in boiling water and kill it and serve it to you on a plate. You're like, get the F out of here. Stop.
So hypothetically, they show you the plant, and it's the plant from Little Shop of Horrors, the big, massive plant.
That's
in
fine.
The back. You're in? You're down?
It's fine. You know why it's fine? Because now we've established a level of trust. Because you've shown me behind. You've pulled back the curtain on the Wizard of Oz. The guy. No, don't look behind the curtain. You pulled that back. We're transparent. I maybe you're not showing me or telling me everything. Mm-hmm. Show me something. Lie to me. Tell me this is the plan.
So hypothetically, you got the plant from Little Shop of Horrors behind the curtain in the kitchen.
Yes.
If that thing eats meat and eats humans, is the person who eats that plant
now a cannibal?
Are they still vegetarian if the plant is eating meat?
That's a good point. You can't eat a Venus flytrap.
If your food's food is meat, are you a vegetarian?
Well, the same goes for people who eat cows, because the cows are grazing in a pasture eating the grass. So while I might not be a vegetarian, the things I'm eating are.
Yeah, I eat vegetarians. Yeah.
There you go.
So circling back to the McRib is an absolute masterclass in supply and demand and marketing from McDonald's.
Absolutely.
The only reason why the McRib exists is because from October till February or however long the McRib is available, that's when the pork prices are at their lowest.
Brilliant.
It's the only reason why it exists. And they've done an absolute masterful job of making it this big ordeal. The McRib is back. The McRib is back. No, they just bought something that was super cheap and elevated it to a level where you think it's a big deal. Like, it is an absolute chef's kiss, masterclass on marketing and supply.
Well, when you go into, smaller restaurants and finer establishments and so forth, they don't have the menu that's plastic coated. They give you a piece of paper and show you what the 3 options today are, because the chef went to the market and selected the vegetables, selected the fish, selected the beef, brought it back, and he's got enough to make this many, and we're going to run out. Oh, sorry, we're out of that. That's what it is. That's the same thing. So you're right. That's brilliant. It's what Restaurant 101. That's awesome. Good.
It's an absolute masterclass by McDonald's, and every single time the McRib is back, I get reminded of like how like this is the ultimate scheme that they pulled off, and they continue to pull off year after year.
Even though you may not enjoy the process or the thought of how it's made or the fact that it doesn't have bones and all this stuff, haven't you ever just said, you know what, I need to try it just one time? I mean, millions of people eat this thing, and it. Aren't you adventurous at all in that respect?
Yeah, I am, but I'm also of the mindset where, like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
No, I get it.
And so, like, if I go to McDonald's, I usually get, like, maybe this is just the college kid in me still resonating a little bit. I usually get 2 or 3 McChickens and a fry.
The dollar menu, yeah. For $5, you can eat like a king.
Good to go.
Except,
you are good.
I think now the dollar menu is becoming the $2 menu.
So, still, regardless, the McRib is always like $7, $8. Now, will I eventually try it? Probably, but anytime I go to a place that I've been to a few times, I look at the other stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, oh that looks good. Oh, that looks pretty good. But then, in the corner of my eye, there's the tried and true. It's just glowing, waiting for me to select it. It knows it's going to be chosen. It's just a matter of time. I'm just fooling myself into believing that there's a chance I don't get that.
No, I get it. Well, a lot of people were getting cigarettes during the COVID lockdown. Whoa, not that guy. We're too early for that guy. Cigarette use is up. Cigarette sales in America were falling then COVID hit, according to CNN.com. They say more, and I'm trying to picture this in my mind. I really am. I get it. You're bored. You're on lockdown. You're at your house. You don't get to go out and have interaction and all this stuff. What makes you cross that line and go, hey, I got it. I'll start smoking. How is that crossed? How do you cross that line?
In the cloud, your data has the power to do the extraordinary.
Yeah, I don't even know. So is it more people are buying, or are the same people buying more?
There you go. See, I was trying to pull up the story, but then all sorts of music was playing. So I'm pulling up the rest of the story here. But that's a good point. Maybe it's the people who would only smoke when they were at work on their break, don't smoke. Yep. But now they're home all the time. Now they've started smoking 2 packs a day instead of 1 pack.
Doubling and tripling down. So I think it may not necessarily be that a million more people are smoking. It's just those same couple million people are smoking that much.
And cigarettes, over the years, they've had these agreements with the government and stuff, and sales have been supposedly steadily declining. They've had to put stuff on the packages like, hey, you could die. Your baby could die, and they're like, hey, okay, great. Let me pack this down here. Let me fire one up. I was at one of those convenience type stores, a Wawa or something like that, and the guy in front of me was getting like cigarettes, and it was like $8, and I'm like, what the hell did this guy buy? And he's got 1 pack of cigarettes. And I'm like,
yeah.
And some people are smoking that every day, 2 of them.
Yeah.
$16 a day. Smoke up, Johnny.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen it before too, where like I got my Sensible Wawa sub, right? It's got the little receipt. I'm like, all right, they're making my sandwich right now. This is gonna be a treat. I'm doing the math in my head.
For $7, I got a drink and a sandwich, and you got a pack of smokes.
Yeah, so it's like I got my sandwich, I got my Arizona tea, got a nice bag of chips. I'm like, all right, got myself a good meal. Then the person in front of me drops $87 on a carton. I'm like, collectively through the month have not spent $87 at a gas station. You did it today. Like, oh
well,
my
wait a
God.
second. When I went to Buc-ee's, I did spend $70 some odd, and I didn't even buy gas or cigarettes.
Well, that's different. That's a little bit. It's not like
that was more of a destination for me. There's not a Buc-ee's
exactly,
in my neighborhood.
Yeah. You went there knowing you were going to try different things, and
right.
That's another point. You got different things.
Yeah.
You didn't get a carton of sin sticks, as Ned Flanders would call them.
So you're about half my age, give or take. So where is your generation on smoking? Do you see it a lot? Do you not see it a lot? Do you think it is on the decline? Do you think it's on the upswing? Your generation.
I say from my generation, I'd say it's definitely on the decline because I can count on one hand the friends that I keep in contact with that I do know smoke. But going back to the point earlier, they smoke a lot. Like they let them rip. Like they don't hold back. So does that interfere with your time together, or does that either subconsciously or consciously affect the times you could spend together? I think it does a little bit because we've had times where we've been invited over to people's house and we're like bowling back and forth. We're like, all right, well, we have to get up early tomorrow. Well, that's fine. We can just leave a little early. We still make an appearance. But then the last point is always, we're gonna smell like smoke when we leave.
Yeah.
That's always like, I'd be lying if I said it wasn't a factor or it wasn't lingering. Like it's always in the back of your mind, like, God, it's like it's not gonna be great.
Well, a lot of times if you go to bars, and depending on what state you're in or what county or whatever, even, and it's been years. My experience in the restaurant business for a long time was your smokers are your drinkers are your smokers. That's why the smoking, believe it or not, folks, there used to be a time you would go to the restaurant and you would give your preference, whether you wanted to sit in a smoking section or a non-smoking section. There used to be a time. Nowadays, I know that's pretty much gone. The only time you do that is if you're at a bar with like a late night menu or whatever, or outside on a patio somewhere maybe. But so your generation, you don't think is smoking as much as my generation or previous generations. You definitely think it's on the way down.
I definitely think it's on the way down because like I think back to like even to college. Like we would have all these house parties and we'd have a bunch of people over. Nobody was ever smoking. Like we'd have 20, 30 people over. Nobody was ever smoking at all. So it's like, if one or two was smoking out of 20 or 30, that's 10%.
Right.
Like I'm talking 0% of the people there were doing that. So I definitely think it's on the way out. And, I still think it's going to be around. It's going to be a thing.
Sure.
But I think it's going to be around. It's going to be a thing because it's something that some people grew up with their parents ripping them.
Right.
2 packs a day.
I can remember being little and stealing smokes from our step grandfather in Stark. He used to smoke Lucky Strikes, no filter. And he used to do the pack like that and then take one out, and he'd put it in his mouth, and right after he put it in his mouth, because there was no filter, he was right on tobacco, he would go and spit out the little piece of tobacco that got stuck on his tongue. I can remember him sending me to the corner store to buy cigarettes for him. I was like 10 years old, 12 years old, something like that. And he'd give me the $1.03 or whatever it was for the pack of cigarettes, exact change, because he knew how much it was. And he said, they won't say anything, but if they do, just tell them, I sent you. And I was like, all right, nowadays, can you imagine selling smokes to a 10-year-old? Can you imagine that? You'd be shut down. You'd be kicked out. You'd be arrested. Then you used to go to, you ever been to a bar or a club and they have allowed smoking in a whole place? As soon as you walk in, it's like, oh my God! You went with me that time. We went to we were going to try that English pub place.
Yeah.
And we just walked in, and I was like, oh my God! The walls are just saturated in smoke so bad.
There are a couple places in downtown Orlando, but there's one place in particular. I love this establishment. It's called Tanqueray's in downtown Orlando.
Yeah.
It's so great.
Yeah.
So good. They always have live music. They always have great performances there. Yeah. It's always a great time. But as you descend the staircase to go down,
hits you.
soon as you cross over the door, it just hits you. And it's like, oh man, like it's brutal, but it's also an aesthetic. If that makes sense. It kind of like with the music and with the drinking and the smoke kind of adds an aesthetic to it. But yeah, it's definitely on the way out. But every man has his vice, so it's gonna be interesting to see my generation get off my lawn. My generation. I think the focus is gonna be more so on like the vaping and the e-cigs. I'm curious how that's gonna be long term for, call it an addiction, call it a habit, call it whatever you want, how that's going to be. Are we going to have
in 40 years we're going to find out it causes your feet to fall off or something stupid, you know, like it took a long time to fix. You used to go when your grandma and grandfather were younger, you'd go to the doctor be in there smoking, talking to you. I mean,
right. Yeah, so it's just going to be interesting to see, like, in 20, 30 years, like, yeah, I've been ripping bubblegum flavored vape juice for 20 years. Is that going to be the new Lucky Strike no filter? It's going to be the bubblegum vape? Like, what the hell?
Nice. Well, it's funny you pulled out Get Off My Lawn, because that's what time it is. It's time for Get Off My Lawn.
Get off my lawn. Not in this lifetime, Sonny. Well, I think you're an overeducated 27-year-old version. There's a Mexican, a Jew, and a colored guy go into a bar. The bartender looks up and says, "Get the fuck out of here." Get off my lawn. Used to stack fucks like you 5 feet high in Korea. Use you for sandbags. Can't you people just leave me alone? Get off my lawn. You'd think the cold would keep all the idiots out. What are all you fish heads looking at anyway? Get off my lawn. You people are nuts. I knew you were a dipshit the first time I ever saw you. You're wrong, egg roll. I know exactly what I'm talking about.
All right, this Get Off My Lawn is interesting here. Get Off My Lawn is a segment. Well, you saw and heard Clint Eastwood. If you're watching us on twitch.tv/bothmics or on YouTube or on Facebook or however you're watching us, but I appreciate you watching us, but we're everywhere. If we're not somewhere and you listen to podcasts or something, let me know. I'll make sure we try to get on that platform. But this is the Get Off My Lawn guy. That's what it is. And here's a story that fits right into that. According to local12.com, 79-year-old father accused of shooting his son for playing guitar too long. This is in Blue Ash, Ohio. This is, let me put his picture up here because I can. I think I'm far enough away, 900,000 miles away. This guy right here, his name is Fred Hensley Sr. He faces felonious assault and domestic violence charges. Hensley Sr. told police he shot his son, Fred Hensley Jr., with a .380 pistol Sunday because he'd been playing the guitar for over an hour, according to court papers. He allegedly said he was only trying to shoot the guitar, but shot his son in the side of his stomach. Hensley Jr. then assaulted Hensley Sr. while waiting for emergency rooms to get to the family's home. A judge ordered Hensley Sr. held on a $60,000 bond. The son apparently survived the shooting. Gosh, you were playing that darn thing for over an hour. I'm going to shoot you dead.
Lock that dumb old man up and throw away the key.
Again.
Lock him.
I don't know.
See, this just makes you think. How old was this guy?
79.
79. Okay, so let's do the math here. 79, 2021. That means he was born in.
How old is this kid? 50?
Yeah, 19. So he's born in 1942. So say he was 25 years old in 1967. All right. What type of stuff did he do back then that he got away with? That he's doing this stuff now?
Well, sadly, he probably went to Vietnam.
Right, yeah, maybe that could be the case, but that's also a great point. What you just mentioned, how old is his son? If he's 79, you shot your 53.
His kid's 12. I mean, how old is he?
See, I need more details on the son here. This will paint a better picture.
Yeah, I gave you the full report here. I mean, I know I didn't read that much, but that was pretty much it. It was like a 6-liner here because they want you to watch the video and watch their TV stations, the TV stations. Site there. So at
the absolute oldest, the son is 62, right? So that means he had 17. So at the oldest, let's go 62.
Why is the 62-year-old son living with the 79-year-old father?
Point A. If at the oldest he's 62, at the youngest, let's say he's 12 or 13. Because maybe got a divorce from the first marriage, married someone younger who wanted a kid, 13 years old, had the kid when he was 66, whatever. So the gap between 13 and 62 changes the dynamic of this story so much.
Give or take 50 years, it's all right.
Yeah, so if he's shooting, if it's a dumb old man shooting another dumb old man.
How much bourbon was involved? Yeah,
If it's a dumb old man shooting a 13-year-old who's learned to play guitar because he saw Ace Frehley on YouTube, like that's sad. Like, this guy should be locked up forever.
Yeah. Well, what are you gonna do? I just hope I don't grow up to be the. I think I already am that guy, but I hope I don't grow up being that guy.
If you look at his mugshot, it looks like Junior got him pretty good.
Yeah, look, he's shot in the stomach and still laying an ass whipping.
Yeah, like Junior got a couple three pieces on old Pops there.
Yeah.
Good for Junior.
Well, speaking of people that are out of this world, it's time on this show number 69. Jeez. Anyway, it's time for the alien update.
Buzz-looking alien! Where?
Warning! Alien approaching! Warning! Biophysical experiments extremely dangerous for Earth people!
It's a pretty good robot. He's a little bit of an alien, too. But I think he's an alien. You could be an alien robot, right? Like, not all robots are domestic.
I computed the aliens. They are capable of sinister and dangerous acts.
You weird alien man!
All right, it's time to talk about my favorite thing, the aliens. The aliens that are here on this planet. 7 billion people on the planet. There's a handful of them, I think, are aliens. But Trey brought up a good point in episode 68 that maybe these people aren't the aliens. Maybe they're real close to an alien who's given them this technology, who's given them this wealth, who's given them this opportunity. Because Jeff Bezos doesn't look all that smart to me. Neither does Zuckerberg. I take one look at him, I'm like, are you kidding me? That's the guy? That's the guy? Are you kidding me?
Zuckerberg apparently goes to the same barber as Mark Davis, so he can't be that smart, right?
And then I look at him, and we talked about the alien stuff on 68 as well, but you've been to Roswell and you've seen some of those documentaries and so forth, and there may be several different types of aliens. There may be reptilians and grays and all these different types. Have you ever looked at somebody like Zuckerberg and just said, oh yeah, he's a reptilian? Oh yeah, I can see that. Or he's a shapeshifter or whatever.
I think it's mainly in the eyes. Like I think some people just have soulless eyes, and I think that's the indicator. Zuckerberg kind of gives off that vibe where
I'll give you one. I saw a local person that had that soulless thing. I don't know if I told you this story. I went to see Cheap Trick and Stone Temple Pilots back in the day at the UCF Arena. It was still called the UCF Arena back then. I think it was the 90s. And I get there and I got a backstage pass, a meet and greet type thing through the radio station. So we're backstage and I'm going to do the meet and greet for Cheap Trick there, and it's almost time. We're back there, we're congregating, a security guy comes by and he goes, I need everybody to turn and face the wall. I'm like, what? Like, yeah, we need everybody to turn and face the wall. And I'm like, what the hell's going on here? So everybody looks at each other and we all turn and face the wall, and he goes, Mr. Weiland's about to walk down this hallway. You're not allowed to look him in the eye. And I was like, what? What are you talking about? So I turned, I looked, because I'll get thrown out. I don't care. I just, what am I missing? He walked by and we made eye contact for like a half a second, and he had these like ice blue eyes, like my background here. And it looked like he was looking friggin' through me, dude. I was like, holy shit. So yeah. Anyway.
Well, knowing what we know about that guy, he might have been looking through you. He might have been in another galaxy at that exact moment in time.
True.
So
Very true. Very true.
He probably was looking through you.
I just thought that whole thing was crazy. Anyway, we're talking about aliens here. we end up talking about the companies. So, there's this thing called Oculus, and I guess Facebook owns it, and now they're going to make it possible for you to use the Oculus headset, but you don't have to have a Facebook account, I guess. They're trying to do something. My question, Trey, is have you used one of these Oculuses?
I have not. The closest thing I've had was back when Disney Quest was still around. They had like the virtual reality stations there where you were like in a contained environment where they put you in like in a little halo around, like you were standing in a circle so that like is like you can run, but you wouldn't literally be running 20 feet. You'd be like running on like a little treadmill type thing or some type of surface like that. I see people, I watch like fail videos sometimes, and like I see people using these headsets for the first time, and they're jumping around as if they're really in this world, and like they're like, oh, he's coming at me. He jumps up, they headbutt the ceiling fan, break the ceiling fan, shatters all over the place. Or old grandpa's trying it out for the first time. He gets spooked and falls out a window. Like there's a lot of external hazards that come with this thing if you're not like in a protected environment or like a nerfed room, so to speak.
Well, it almost brings you, when you notice this type of virtual reality or whatever, they even have augmented reality where you can take your cell phone and point it at something, it'll create something. My whole thing is there's going to come a time and a place where somebody my age, and maybe somebody your age, but I would think it'd be more apt at my age because I'd be getting up there in age. Let's say in 20 years, I may not know the difference between fantasy and reality at that point. I may not know if I'm in a virtual... There's people that think that our entire existence is a computer simulation and that somebody's playing a game. And can you imagine? Oh, I got that guy. Oh, I hate that fucking guy.
So we mentioned in 68 the meta, right?
Yeah.
And I kind of tongue-in-cheek jokingly mentioned the meta within the meta.
Yeah.
What if the meta is the meta within this meta?
Crazy.
They could be right. They could be right.
That's some major pot talk there. That's like, okay, so that means under my fingernail could be a molecule in an entire universe. That means our entire universe could be a molecule over some other greater being's nail.
Yeah.
Far out, man.
Yeah. It's what was it? Men in Black, where they're like one of the closing scenes from one of the movies is like they're playing marbles, and inside the marble is a galaxy of its own, where there's like life within that galaxy of that marble. So it's like, man, are we in a marble? I think we might be.
Well, I mean, you look at the world from views from space, or at least what they tell us is a view from space. Yeah. Let me put it to you. Are you a flat earther?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, I don't. You want to know what's funny? The Flat Earth Society got caught one day because they put out a tweet saying they have believers all over the globe. And I'm like, all right, case closed.
Say it again. Say that one more time, really slow for me. Just say it real slow. Yeah, I think the whole flat Earth thing. I honestly believe it's got to be just people trolling, just straight up trolling. They're
playing a role.
Yeah, they know what they're doing. Like they're just trying to get under people's skin, and some people bite. Some people bite on it.
You know what would be really cool? If you picked up that dog shit and put it in a bag and lit it on fire, put it in front of that person's house and rang the doorbell. I think that would be cool if you did that. They're that guy. They're the guy setting it up.
100%. 100%. Yeah. It's just people like the fact that they say like, oh, you can go to the edge of the earth.
Okay.
Where?
Where is that on the map? Show me.
Yeah, tell me where that is. Tell me where that is. Like I don't.
Did you come up with this because the map is flat when you looked at it?
Right? That honestly, that probably is part of it, and you probably have people who don't understand how.
Well, I could see back in the medieval times and stuff before. Columbus sailed the ocean blue, whatever you want to say, whoever, whatever. There was a time where people were scared that they would fall off into space.
Oh, yeah.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, it's see back then it would make a little more sense just because like we don't have the easy access to all the information we do now. But even back then, you had people like the philosophers and scientists like Aristotle who were hypothesizing based on how the stars were that the Earth was round. Like they even had it back then. So like even back then, they didn't really
make
have
sure make sure we clarify. We're not talking about the big Aristotle shack. Because, people may not know who Aristotle is. So most people watching or listening to this are either drunk or high or both. So I just want to clarify. We're not talking about the big Aristotle.
Not the big Aristotle, the OG Aristotle.
Okay.
And it's just got to be people trolling. It's just got to be people that are like just trying to get a rise out of it. Because it's just hard to how do you justify that? I don't know. I can't see it.
Well, this guy can justify it. Elon Musk, we talk about the aliens here. He becomes the first person to have a worth of more than 300 billion with a B.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine. That's like... what do you do with that kind of money? What can't you do?
You could literally do whatever you want, honestly.
And you know what I like about him the most? He constantly trolls Jeff Bezos. If you ever follow him on Twitter or something, he's always ripping on him. And then even when Bezos does something nice and Musk congratulates him, Bezos is like responding tentatively. Oh, he's setting a trap for me. I know. He doesn't mean it. He's in his head.
Yeah. Yeah, and I honestly don't think people realize how much bigger a billion is than a million.
Yeah.
Like a million seconds is, I think, like a year or something. So a billion is 1,000 millions. A billion is 1,000 years. If a million seconds is a year, like that's crazy to think about.
This is according to CBSNews.com, so it must be true. Musk was worth $302 billion as of Thursday, according to the Bloomberg Billionaires Index. That's an increase of almost $10 billion from the previous day, thanks to a jump in Tesla shares on Thursday. So you mean to tell me out of 7 billion people, this guy ain't special? There's not something a little bit different about this guy than everything else? He obviously didn't go to the same school system that I went to. It's crazy, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. It is interesting, but I love how people justify this guy having $300 billion. He's like, oh well, he assumed so much risk starting this company. He also took a lot of tax credits for his company, a lot of government assistance, a lot of government contracts. Like, dude's not self-made. He had a lot of assistance along the way.
Check this out. They go on in this story, the CBS News story, to give Musk's wealth some perspective. Consider that it is greater than the annual gross domestic product of nations such as Finland, Chile, and Vietnam. And it exceeds the market value of Netflix and PayPal, a company he co-founded. The surge in Musk's assets comes as lawmakers are considering a billionaire's tax that would take a bite out of the wealth of the nation's nearly 700 billionaires. So think about that. There's 700 billionaires. There's 7 billion people in the world. You can obviously just move the decimal point, okay? And then out of those 700 billionaires, there's probably 7 of them that are almost to his level. And then he's the top of that level. I mean, I could probably quit my part-time job if I had $300 billion. I mean, I don't understand what I couldn't do with $300 billion. I could go to other planets like he's doing.
Yeah, and that's the thing where you mentioned how his worth went up 10 billion the day before.
I'll never make 10 billion in my life.
That's a large number, but when you put in perspective, he already had 290 billion.
Yeah, that's
a jump of 3% in his net worth.
Yeah, it's just...
That's the crazy part.
He's like, oh, okay. Well, let me tell you, for as smart as he is, for all the props that I give this guy, I think he stuck his foot in his mouth here. And I'm going to tell you the story of what he's doing to stick something in his mouth here. He's opening a college of technology. This is according to NewYorkPost.com. Elon Musk proposes the Texas Institute of Technology and Science. Now, I first thought I was getting trolled here. I thought there's no friggin' way that this guy's creating a university that says TITS, TITS. Texas Institute of Technology. No way. This is a fake story. This is a real story. Now they're saying he has a reputation of joking and breaking rules on Twitter, but he has announced that he's launching a new university, the Texas Institute of Technology and Science. Is he trolling us all or what?
Oh, 100%. 100% trolling. 100%. And he knows what he's doing. He knows he has an audience. He knows he has people that will pay attention to whatever he's doing. And the real question is, when he announced the Texas Institute of Technology and Science, what else was happening during that same time that this was announced that didn't get publicized? Because he said this outrageous thing.
It's a distraction.
Of course. That's the old... Look at the right hand, the left hand stealing your wallet.
Now, for whatever it's worth, I didn't see this thing that I'm conveying to everybody. I didn't see anybody else come up with the idea of TITS or not. It doesn't spell that out in the articles I've seen in regards to this. But what it does do is it goes on to say that Musk also went on to say, he also said Tesla won't have university requirements for jobs because that's absurd. But he's opening a university. I'll build a bunch of electric cars, but don't use them. I mean, what do you...
He does what he wants, man. Obviously, it's working. Whatever he's doing, it's working. So, more power to him. More power to him.
It's going to be in Austin, Texas, because there's a relatively low cost of living, a strong university, as well as other popular events like South by Southwest, etc. It's been a hot spot for tech companies and their workers.
Yeah, I think the idea is real. I just don't think there's ever a chance that it gets named that. I just don't think so.
Well, according to NewYorkPost.com, they're reporting third party here. San Antonio Express News reported earlier this year that the company is in talks with San Antonio and Austin officials to create an underground transportation loop in Central Texas, like the one that opened this summer in Las Vegas. They're talking about doing something like this in the Miami area. They're always talking about how we're a foot above water, if that, and how underneath us is all water. How is there going to be a subway in South Florida? Riddle me that. You've lived in there in South Florida. Do you see that happening?
No chance. I think this, I've always thought, growing up in Orlando, monorails. I always thought monorails were such an interesting concept. And especially for long travel, more so than just going from Epcot to Magic Kingdom or whatever it may be. I've always been intrigued by the idea of that. But yeah, I just don't see it going underground in Florida.
Yeah, I know they're putting up bullet trains and trains that'll take you from here to Tampa to Miami, or here to Miami, and all that stuff. I get the whole thing, and that's great, but I can't see a subway system like they have in New York or whatever. I can't. There's too much water.
Yeah, there's too much water in the way. So New York was developed with transportation in mind. Right. Orlando, Tampa, Miami, they're thrown together as it was happening. They were like, oh, there's more people. Build this over here. Build this over here. Transportation was not top of mind whatsoever. And these places are way too widespread for any type of subway system to ever be a real possibility for the majority of people. It's just not possible.
Yeah, I don't see that. I mean, I'm interested to see it, because if you go back in time, you tell somebody in the 50s that we're going to put a man on the moon, you're going to say, get the fuck out of here. You go back to your grandfather tells a funny story. When I was 6 months old, an encyclopedia salesman came to the house. So they bought a set of encyclopedias, because one of the things the encyclopedia salesman said, oh, you don't want your kid to grow up stupid. And I'm like, oh, okay, great. Now I had all the pressure on me. I didn't even know it. And sure enough, I became old enough to read in these things, and they would sit down and read to me sometimes. And when I was 5 or 6, the encyclopedias were already out of date. It was like, 1 year we will place a man on the moon. We've already done that. What do you mean 1 year? The encyclopedia was already outdated. So again, I don't see how we don't see things coming. as a society, as a people. I just, it's incredible. You can't tell me something that is unbelievable and have me not believe it, and in 25 years I go, son of a bitch, that guy was right. Oh my God, we put a man on the moon.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes it's the people that dare to be different and dare to think differently that end up being the most influential, and obviously he's in a spot right now to be extremely influential.
I just want to I want to be a TITS alumni. I want to get the shirt, you know. I think it'd be great.
Would they have a football team? They come out on the field, tits across the chest.
It's great. Oh my God, it's crazy. Yeah, I think he's trolling us. I want to talk about one of the other aliens, Bezos. His company here, they've released a report saying that they have a 20% stake in the electric vehicle maker Rivian. This is a company that I think is an India-based company, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see here. This CNBC.com says Amazon reveals 20% stake in electric vehicle maker Rivian, and they've also placed an order with Rivian to produce 100,000 electric last-mile delivery vehicles by 2030. So,
okay. Yeah, I'm down. I'm in on electric cars. I'm absolutely in.
Well, here's my thing. Bezos to me is always Musk's little brother. Oh, you can't play ball with us big kids, and he always talks down to him and stuff. This is Bezos trying to get into Tesla's game. He's trying to get into his wheelhouse here. He's like, you know what? Fuck you. I'll buy my way in. And that's what he's doing. And then, because I own that company, I own this company, I'm going to have those two companies do business. That's pretty cool if you ask me.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
Anyway, if you're watching on twitch.tv/bothmics or YouTube or whatever, that is an actual picture of one of the electric vehicles they're proposing here. Now, I'm sure this is computer generated, but this is what it looks like. So, unless they already have one, I don't know about it. So, let me ask you this. Where do you charge an electric vehicle?
Is this a setup for a joke?
No,
or
this is real questions. I have real questions. You said you're all in on electric vehicles. I'm just going to ask you a few questions.
Yeah, I think electric vehicles are going to be. It's going to be interesting to see how the technology evolves. I don't think it's where it needs to be yet, but I know they have different charging stations throughout different towns, throughout different cities. I know that you're able to charge it at your place of residence, wherever that may be.
Well, let me ask you this: where does the electricity come from that you're charging your car with?
It comes from the gods. Zeus throws a lightning bolt down every 15 minutes to 20 minutes, provides enough electricity for all mankind.
Nice.
To live off of.
Well, my question is, how do they produce the electricity that they send you? How is that produced?
I don't know. I'm not well versed on it.
Coal.
Okay.
So that's my question. We're going back to coal times. Not everybody can wrap their head around it. Oh yeah, we got to get off gasoline, and we got to get off this, and we got to get off that. I get it, but what do you do? That's like saying you don't understand why people hunt. Why can't they just get their food like everyone else at the grocery store? What do you think is going on here? So here's my thing. I seriously am concerned about electric vehicles because my biggest fear is I'm going to stall out somewhere in the middle of nowhere. Well, you could do the same thing. You could stall out if you run out of gas. My whole thing is we have an infrastructure set up where that's less likely now. How long is it going to take to develop the infrastructure for the electric vehicles to be efficient?
Well, I think the biggest thing with electric vehicles that I'm surprised that isn't, or I'm sure it is, we just don't know about it yet, is the solar power. So being able to use solar power as well as the electric component. So obviously the contrarian point of view to that is like, oh, what if it's a cloudy day?
Yeah.
That's when the plug-in would come into play. But you go to places like Arizona, Colorado, it's sunny 320 days a year there. I think that those are pretty good odds if you're able to find a way to harness the different alternative energy sources to power a vehicle. I just think with like we touched on it in 68 about like gasoline prices rising, and like all that rising. with those prices rising, there has to be an alternative. There just has to be.
No, I get it, and I'm all about it. I don't understand the giant push now. I don't see us, and maybe it's just my area of the country. Maybe more progressive or more urban areas, maybe this is a little more commonplace. Somebody's obviously buying these cars, these Tesla cars. Yeah. An electric vehicle. If you put an electric vehicle with the same equipment next to a gas vehicle with the same equipment, the electric one's $19,000 more. Mm-hmm. So it's all relative, I know, but the $30,000 car you're looking to buy is now a $50,000 car just because of the engine. Are we really saving that much? Are we saving the planet that much? Now you have some unique experience with this because you're putting solar engineering on your vehicle, explain to people what you're doing there.
Yeah, so my wife and I are building out turning a Sprinter van into a camper van, and one of the things that we wanted to utilize was solar power. So we have solar panels on top of our camper van. We've rigged it in a way that feeds the solar power cables through the van itself. So that way, when we're in the van, we're able to feed the cable into a power bank, and through the through the sun, we're able to charge that bank and then use any of our electronics on it.
That's awesome. So you can travel all around and still have the luxuries of having electrical. That's cool. Exactly.
Yeah, we can still, or like even if we're out in the desert, or even if we're up in a forest or on a mountain or something. If we have sun, we can have our power bank charging up, and we can still be able to use it for whatever we need.
See, that's cool. To me, I think if I was closer to your age, I'd be embracing it more. But it's just like, back when the internet, that thing's still around. I'm surprised that lasted. I don't want to be that guy, but I don't see the electric vehicle. But then again, shit, I thought I'd be flying around in my space car by now when I was young. Oh yeah.
Yeah, like I said, it's definitely not where it needs to be, but I think it's in a great spot. And if you look at a bell curve, I think we're just at the beginning of the upward slope of the bell curve on electric vehicles and how they can be used.
Well, speaking of the aliens still, this is an Apple cloth. Apple is selling these things for $20, $19.99. It's a polishing cloth. They're back ordered to 2022 now. They're selling towels now for $20, and it's only for your Apple. It's are you serious, bro?
Listen, there's a market for everything.
I see that.
There's a market for everything.
This is according to 9to5mac.com. Yada, 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 a bunch of stuff. Despite delays of upwards of 12 weeks, they're still selling these things at $19 a pop. It's very effective at its job. The polishing cloth has been a breakout star from Apple's Unleashed event held last week. Now, you're an Apple person, right?
I am, yeah. I'm an Apple guy.
All right. Are you going to get one of these cloths?
I will not. I'm not that big of an Apple guy. I do like I know some people who like Androids. They're like, oh, I like that I can customize it and do this, do that. I don't need all that garbage. I just need something simple, that's effective, that works. Very straightforward. I don't need customization. Give it to me straight. I just need something that works. I don't need to change every aspect of everything. That's why, like, the phone works with the computer and vice versa. It's just a simpler way.
Well, the photo that they have in this article is of somebody's Twitter page, and Chance Miller. He's showing a picture of 3 of them new in a box, and he's like, the bidding starts at $100. I was like, jeez.
Absolutely, sell it, man. do your thing, Chance.
I'm selling you a handy wipe for your phone. I mean, I don't know. This looks like a dollar store item to me. I just don't get it. Maybe.
I'm interested to see what it's made of. Like, is it some?
It's obviously some from microfiber or something. It's got it.
Yeah. Like, I'm interested to see the components that make it up. But hey, Apple's a brand at this point where they can pretty much do what they want, and people will buy it.
Well, somebody else that can do whatever they want, obviously, is this man, Will Ferrell. Have you heard about his thing here? He's turned down $29 million to star in an Elf sequel. He's turned it down.
Yeah.
Dude, if you're turning down a $29 million gig, you got some bank.
He's got it good. He's got that Saturday Night Live syndication money. It's quite a repertoire of movies under his belt.
He said that he couldn't sign off on it. He couldn't say to people because he'd have to promote the movie. And he said, according to RollingStone.com, oh no, it's not good. I just couldn't turn down that much money, and I thought, can I actually say those words? I don't think I can. So I guess I can't do the movie. So he's read everything, he's looked at everything, looked at the whole situation. He's like, yeah, no, I'm not doing it. Is this okay? We'll give you $45 million, Will. Is that what this is? I mean, what?
I don't think so. I think certain performers and certain entertainers like him get to a certain point where, like you said, he's got a sizable bankroll already, because him in particular, he's involved in much more than just acting. Like Funny or Die, he co-founded that website. He's been involved with a bunch of like production type stuff. So his hand is in a bunch of different pots, and you got to think, if he's spending all this time devoted to a project he doesn't believe in, that's time not spent on a project he does believe in.
All right.
And at this, for people like him, the time is probably worth more than the money.
No, I get it. James Caan was in that movie, and he goes on to say, we're going to do it. And I thought, oh my God, I finally have a franchise movie. I can make some money. Let my kids do what the hell they want. But then Caan continues, the director and Will didn't get along very well. Will wanted to do it, and he didn't want the director. He had it in his contract. It was one of those things. So I'm not going to make $29 million because I don't like that dude. Stop. I think I could like you for a couple months while we shoot a movie for $29 million.
Listen, money can be relative at certain points. Like it's like 29 mil to us is not obviously not the same as 29 million to Will. So
no, it's funny you say that, because that's one of the things I've always used. Like, I was in the car business before, and you would see people look at you differently when you went places, because you usually made pretty good money and you usually dressed pretty well and stuff, and you'd feel like people were looking at you, and it felt to me like, I made it in life or whatever, but whenever I thought I had it bad, even though I was in that business, I'm thinking, right now there's somebody at McDonald's going, God dang, if I could just be in the car business like that guy. It's all relative. It depends on how you look at things. So if you can be happy with less or happy with not killing yourself, that's good. That's a good place to be. So.
Yeah, and I honestly think with him in particular, like it's definitely a time thing. His time is worth more than any amount of money, because eventually you hit a point like you make. If he turned down 29, it's safe to assume he has at least 29.
Yeah,
it's just safe to assume. So at what point do you get like diminishing returns on your time versus the check? Like it's a super interesting situation where I think it honestly varies person per person.
Well, hats off to him for coming to that conclusion and making his move and making that stand. I do want to thank everybody for tuning in with us. We got about a minute left. Trey, you got a shout out? What's your alter ego there? Tell everybody that.
Yeah, so I've been known to dabble in the hip hop rap game every now and then. Venti Vanilla on Instagram, venti.vanilla, on Spotify, Apple Music, all that jazz. SoundCloud, got an EP I'm working on coming soon, so that's exciting. And
Venti Vanilla, like the Starbucks drink.
Yes, correct. Just like the Starbucks beverage. And then at Trey and Kristen, that's me and my wife's Instagram account, where we document our travels and document this whole van build out that we've been doing. So if you want to check that out, please do.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for filling in for Mike, and thank you for doing this. You've been great. I really appreciate it. And we're going to check out now. And as soon as I push the button. There we are.